It's normally a happy Friday here on the Just Baseball show, but it is a sad Friday. We are going to talk about Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout's injury, but hopefully we get a little bit happier when we predict the stat leaders here on Friday, August 25th. Jack McMullen, Arm Layton, and I am Peter Apple, and we are brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use promo code JustBaseball when you sign up and deposit into your newly created account. Download the BetMGM Sports app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses. If the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once the wager is settled. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER and must be 21 or older. Jack, you said pre-record that you had something funny off the top because we're about to talk about something that ain't funny. So let's at least start with something fun.
Do we want to be sad as shit first and then get happy, or do we want to start and laugh into the episode and then talk about Ohtani?
Arm, you decide.
Just let's start happy. Start happy. Okay. So there was a clip that I saw of Peter saying that he's really let himself go this baseball season. And he used a term that starts with T in regards to the pectorals maybe leaving something to be desired for him this year. And Aram and I have talked about that. Damn, we've really let ourselves go during baseball season because, why go exercise when A, I don't find it that enjoyable, and B, there's more baseball to consume in your life, whether it's looking at the league leaders or whether it's watching a condensed game, anything like that. So I want to key you in. And this is not paid at all. One of my best friends growing up was U.S. Army. He was active duty over in Kuwait for a couple of years. He comes back and he jumps fully into physical or personal training. And he's trained a bunch of pro guys in the Tampa area. He works with a lot of Yankee farm hands with the complex being there. And he recently extended into online personal training. You know how some people will get in touch and they'll have a program written for them. So
are you telling me I should buy your boy's personal? Is that what this is?
Yes. So this is that scam email, and it's for the small price of $1,000 buy-in. No, but he wrote me a program, and I'm telling you, I hit a breaking point where I was I look brutal, and I'm 2 weeks in, and I'll tell you now, I feel as good as I have since I didn't know what beer was, to be totally honest. So might I recommend? He'll write you a program, and we'll get you back on track.
Thank you for the sales pitch. And also by telling me that, I thought you were going to come in being no, you don't actually look that fat.
You look hot.
You haven't, given it all away. But no, you say, I've been there.
But
this is helping me. You look horrible. Thank you.
It was funny. The clip I saw, it was from Peter's live stream, which, by the way, if you're not watching those live streams every day, one, they're hilarious. I hop in there, give my picks that lose. People chirp me. It's always a good time. And then it's just people coming in and out. It's a lot of fun. And, even if you're not a big bettor, it gives you kind of an idea of what's going on, on the baseball slate for the day. So definitely check that out on Switch. But, the clip that was sent in was Peter's in baseball season, it's just harder for me to keep up with working out and stuff, which for Peter is actually true because he works out. But I saw that. I was yeah, man, that's 100% the reason why I haven't been in the gym either, man. Sure. Just baseball season's really tough. That's definitely why I haven't been. But I don't know if I'll be a client for your buddy, Jack, but the podcast is from the shoulders down, so I don't really care. I'm just gonna
have him write you a military press program, and you'll be good. Listen, I've got this prince that just emailed me and said that if I give him $100,000 right now, he can turn that into $10 million in a month. All I have to do is give him all of my credit card info, and we should be good. Should I do it?
Yeah, you should try it.
Ohtani time.
Now that we've talked about how squishy I am, let's talk about let's talk about Ohtani's injury, man. I mean, it's just depressing. So he exits last game after pitching 4 outs, and the original report from the Angels was arm fatigue. And then we found out that Shohei Ohtani has torn his UCL. Well, at least that was the first report out. He's going to get a second opinion. But Shohei Ohtani ain't squishy. Shohei Ohtani was actually hitting in the second game. It went 1 for 5 with a double. He's just incredible. this sucks for the game. Go ahead, Arm.
No, I know. It's just like when you say it sucks for the game, it's just like, ugh, I get like mad because the game's in like such a good spot and he's done such a good thing for the sport. He's transcended baseball, and baseball's biggest problem, and Jack has talked about this and we've all talked about this, but Jack specifically has kind of gotten into the details. And I know ironically was just kind of talking to me about a piece that he wanted to write about Tommy John surgery for justbaseball.com. And I'm like, it's just, this is the like biggest example. This is the poster, the microcosm, whatever you want to call it, of what baseball is dealing with right now. You have a transcendent athlete who is breaks our brain. We like run, we just like keep saying the same ridiculous things about how incredible he is on the field and never get bored of it. And guess what? He's not impervious to the old Tommy John for a second time potentially now. We don't know what they're going to do yet, but his UCL can't hold up either. Nobody's fucking UCL can hold up. Like, it's just, the human body is not meant to be able to sustain, I guess, 100-mile-per-hour throws the amount of times we do it. It just kills me because it's just so hard for a sport. And I know that, thank goodness, position players are so marketable and there's so many good ones and, there's so many stars to love. But like, it just kills me that the stars that we should be so excited about on the mound, it just feels like it's not an if, it's a when they're going to go down. And it's just like such a doomsday feeling. It's just like, feels like this inevitability of injury. And with the injury, they missed the whole year and then some of the next one. And it's just like, you almost forget they exist. Like Shane Baz was one of the most exciting young stars in the game. How many times have we mentioned him on this podcast this year? Zero. Cause he doesn't play right now. Like, it blows.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like, I guess the way that I'm kind of ingesting it over the last 12 to 18 hours is we've officially reached the point of no return in terms of how pitching looks from an anatomy standpoint. Like, there's no such thing as longevity anymore for pitchers that throw 100 miles an hour. If you're low to mid 90s, longevity is more likely, but it's still highly unlikely. It's brutal, man. Like, we're not going to get another Nolan Ryan, because in order to be a good pitcher, you have to throw really hard. And in order to throw really hard consistently, you are taking on a level of exertion and a level of force on a ligament that is like, dude, a rubber band. A rubber band can't endure 100 times every fifth day. That's just not how this shit works. So, like, it sucks that Ohtani could be going through this, like, if he does get the surgery this offseason, that's twice in 5 years. But yeah, man, like, I brought it up with McClanahan last week, and we'll talk about it again. Like, Peter, you said you could build an all-star team out of 2 TJ guys, but think about like the top 5 pitchers in baseball right now. And I'm not asking like, oh, are these guys for sure top 5? But McClanahan, DeGrom, and Ohtani all may be on that list. Garrett Cole is on that list too, I think. And then,
he's like our Nolan Ryan. Like, he's really is at this point, which is crazy.
It's ridiculous. But like, and yes, you can argue with me all day long about like, hey, Ohtani's not a top 5 arm, whatever. He might be. He very well could be. And I think he probably is. That's 3 of the top 5 pitchers in the game that are enduring their second UCL tear in their life in 2023. In the same year, 3 of the top 5 pitchers in baseball tore their UCL for the second time. That's mind-fucking.
And the problem is that it doesn't just start at the major leagues, right? Guys don't get called up and they're like, all right, now we're going to teach you how to throw 100 miles an hour. Now we're going to have you throw 89 miles an hour. Sliders.
How do you get drafted? How did Skeens go 1? He did it by throwing 102.
And think about it. If you're an 8-9-year-old kid, what are you trying to do at this point? You're trying to throw the ball as hard as you can. I guarantee sliders are being thrown harder than ever. I remember, I think when we were playing baseball, even at an early age, like I had a fastball and a changeup and a curveball. Like I didn't even throw sliders. Like, I don't even think sliders were around when I was 11 or 12, and I'm 25 years old.
In Little League, you weren't allowed. In my Little League, you weren't allowed to throw curveballs. You were only allowed to throw fastballs up until a certain age. And I don't know if that does anything. But here's the exact example. Like, I had a conversation with a couple before spring training. I had a conversation with a couple minor leaguers, and we were talking about, just trying to get to the show and how desperate they are to get to the show. And there were a couple of other pitchers were talking about, maybe adopting a splitter. And it opened up this conversation. And I was like, do you think the splitter has any, negative effects on the UCL? And they're like, there's science that goes both ways. But, I think honestly, the way I feel when I throw it, it feels like there's more pressure on my arm. And I was like, wow, okay. And you're going to add that to your arsenal? He's like, absolutely. It's a disgusting pitch. And I'm like, well, aren't you worried about injury? It's like, not really, dude. All I care about is getting to the show. If Literally. I flame out there, whatever. And it's not the case if you're a first round pick, maybe it's a little bit different. If you're Garrett Cole, you always know that you're supposed to be an ace. But if you're, a reliever or, a fringe guy in the minor leagues, and some of these guys have emerged and turned into dudes, but like, they don't give a shit. You're emptying the fucking tank to get to the big leagues, whether that is throwing. And Walker talked about it. He's like, this comes with the territory. I try to throw 100 every single time. And like, that's what I do. And that's how I'm going to try to succeed. These guys don't care if the splitter is going to mess their elbow up, because if it misses more bats, that's how they get to the show. That's how they feed their family and pay rent. And if it means that they get hurt 3 years in, unfortunately, that's the outcome. It sucks for the game. It sucks for marketability, but at least those guys have some money to live on. And that's where we've gotten. That's what you have to do to get there.
Aram, I know you can confirm this point. Think about the number of minor leaguers in any given, 5-season stretch that test positive for performance enhancers, like in a different way, in a more sinister way. But like, dude, like they're just trying to get to the bigs. And if you do that via performance enhancing drugs, you do that. And like, are you disgraced? Sure.
I don't blame them at all.
Accruing generational wealth? Absolutely. I don't blame minor leaguers for making that decision, albeit it's like the immoral one, but dude, sometimes you have to be immoral to accrue generational.
You're not hurting somebody else. You're not hurting somebody else. Like if you're making a couple $1,000s a month, which some of these guys were at that time, and it still are barely making more than that. Shit, man. Like you're sleeping on a couch every single night, and you're eating shit. You're telling me that you're not considering, maybe taking some PEDs and getting yourself out of that situation. You're not hurting anybody else by that decision. Like you can, go in the morality side of things. And that's kind of where we're at, is like, we have pitch labs designed to optimize the way that you throw, not from a health standpoint. I mean, Now I know that they're starting to look at that, but from the number one thing is, how do I throw the hardest and how do I throw the nastiest pitches? And our science has become so advanced, because people are talking about like, oh, well, guys used to throw 400 innings, 500 innings. We've perfected, not we, I haven't done shit, but like these people have perfected the way of being able to maximize every ounce of your body to throw it. Like, how much harder can a human throw a baseball? We're not seeing anyone come out throwing 108, 109. Why? Because we've literally seen people push their bodies to the singular limit. Here's the crazy part, though. A shit ton of people throw 100. So you have a bunch of dudes that throw 100, no one that throws 107. You know why? Because everybody is pushing their limits, like literally just right to the brink. And then you're doing that how many times a year? Like, this isn't going to end until either one, and I'm not a doctor, but one, we find a way to mechanically prevent injuries, which I don't see that happening. Or two, we figure out a better surgery than Tommy John. Maybe that ligament in the hip ain't it. Maybe we make a UCL. I don't know. Maybe we could 3D print one that's better. I have no idea. But clearly, like the old Tommy John surgery, it ain't holding up anymore either. We need something better. I don't know.
Are you guys watching Hard Knocks in practices and stuff?
It's good.
Where they wear that
I've seen
extra, where they wear that extra pad on the helmet? Like, I think we need like an extra pad or something on elbow.
On the UCL.
Yeah, and just make them look all weird, but it's like, hey, at least they're not going to get hurt. And I don't know if you guys share this feeling, because you were talking about guys who throw 100 miles an hour, how there are a lot of them. I feel like there are a lot of them in the bullpen, but there's not that many that sprout up in a starting rotation. So when now at this point, because of how many pitchers are getting Tommy John, instead of sitting here and just marveling at starting pitchers who can throw 100, all I'm sitting here thinking is, when is the injury going to happen?
Yeah.
I have been so enthralled with Cole Reagans on the Royals. Throwing in the upper 90s, touching 100 miles an hour. And I'm like, this guy is the next big thing. And then after an inning in commercial, I'm just sitting there like, is the Tommy John this offseason or the next one? Which is so shitty.
And you know it's fucked
why
up?
should that's like if you're watching in the NFL or the NBA, like guys just running fast or jumping high, and you're like, he's gonna tear his ACL.
Yeah.
Or he's gonna tear a hamstring. Like that shouldn't be what we're thinking about when watching this incredible talent.
No, that's an excellent point. It's like Zion Williamson all the time.
Exactly. Like everyone.
That's like what we're dealing with. It's like that's what we're dealing with. And I know there's other things at hand there, but like you bring up a good point. I'm pretty sure Cole Reagans is a double TJ guy already.
I think
so. It's like this is a dude that's again emptying the tank,
and he looks awesome, and he's so fun. And
guess what? He's making a shit ton of money right now.
Yeah,
he's so fucking good. He's awesome. And like I've had the it's so well, I don't want to say funny, like it's ironic you say that, Peter, because I have the same thought and I wish I could shut it down. I am a cynical guy by nature, but when it comes to baseball, like that's usually my positive area. Like I'm very happy. Like we just put out a video of me hyping up Nico Horner and someone told me I was weird. Like this is the one time in my life I smile more than anything else. Like
he said he hates you.
He actually said he hated me. Yeah. He said he said that Apple guy's yelling. No, that unbelievable. TikTok is such a terrible place. But anyway, like I'm with you, dude.
Follow us on TikTok, by the way.
Follow us on TikTok. Just be nice.
Just don't read any of the comments. People hate us.
I did yesterday for the first time. They're so funny, man. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Like that shouldn't be our thought. It shouldn't be like, this is awesome. Once it can all come crashing down.
Doesn't that suck, Jack? Doesn't that suck to have the feeling? Do you share that?
I do. My thing is like, I think in every other sport, there is like a formula to longevity. And with hitters, like there's a formula to longevity too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously you'll age, and some guys age better than others. But with pitchers, like I never thought pitchers in baseball and running backs in the NFL would be so close.
Yeah.
And running backs, I'm starting to feel this way. Like I'm in Indy hearing all the Jonathan Taylor saga, and he's pissed that running backs aren't getting paid. Saquon was pissed that running backs aren't getting paid. Guess what? There's generation after generation of running backs that have proved that the shelf life is very short.
Yeah.
The shelf life of a starting pitcher sitting 98, unless you're Nolan Ryan, unless you're Garrett Cole, like I've named two guys, like the shelf life is shorter. And I hate that because from a like personal bias perspective, a kid that grew up like wanting to pitch. And when I was 8 years old, I was like, I'm going to be a pitcher in the major leagues. Starting pitching is my favorite thing in any sport, period.
Me too.
The fact that it has become running back shelf life level is miserable for me, the baseball fan and the sports fan.
Aram, just one question for you. You have a kid and you're starting them out in baseball.
Daddy Aram. Yeah.
What would you want them to pitch?
Dude,
I would want my kid to be a shortstop or a center fielder or a first baseman or a catcher, like anything else at this point.
I swear to God, dude, this is the craziest shit. I was literally right after the Ohtani thing. I hopped in the shower and I like, that's where I just mindlessly, like my mind just wanders. And I was thinking about that. There's two things. I won't my kid won't play football. Like I'll let him play flag and stuff. I just,
my kid,
when it comes to, I had a concussion and I had another one and like the effects that it had on me, like I'm not letting my kid play football. Like it's just not happening.
I will.
And I was thinking about that.
I really want him to be Tom Brady.
That's fair. That's fair. I was thinking about it from a baseball perspective and I'm like, it's not the same. You don't have like, you don't have TBI, like traumatic brain injuries. But I was like, if my kid loves baseball, no shot. I want him to be a pitcher. Like, no way. Like I'm with you. I would absolutely not. And I love the running back comparison because, and of course, like if my kid loves pitching, like I'll let him pitch, but like, I'm like, are you sure you don't want to hit? Like bombs are sick. Like
bombs are sick.
Like look at this Jordan homer from back in my day.
Dope.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, man, real quick. The thing is pitchers still get paid. When we get to the point where pitchers don't,
but that's what I was about to get to.
Pitchers don't get paid. Yeah, then I think I start to change
course. Look at my top 100 list this year.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I got was like, why are there no pitchers? Why are there no pitchers? No, we talked to a lot of people that are like valuing pitchers is really tough right now. I don't know if pitchers will ever not get paid. I think the best ones will get paid, but I think there's not going to be that like middle ground as much anymore. And honestly, if I'm building a franchise, like I'm not valuing pitchers the same way I'm valuing hitters in terms of longevity and long-term contracts. And I think we're going to start to see that trickle over into pitching. And I'm curious to see what that looks like. But, that's when I look at top prospect lists, I'm 100. If there's a bat and an arm that are equal in terms of their prospect value, I'm taking the bat every single time. And that's why when I put out the just missed on our top 100 list, it's almost all pitchers, because there was a lot of bats that I thought were slightly below or equal that I'm taking over the arm. And the rationale, as I've always said, of the top 100 list is you wouldn't trade 99 for 98. And that's the way that I would approach it. And pitchers to me just aren't the piece. And now we're talking about, what is Ohtani going to get now in a contract, right? Because let's assume it's partial, just to be positive. And it means if it's a partial tear, he misses some time. And then like Tanaka, as Peter brought up before the broadcast, like tries to throw through it and see how that goes. Or he rips the Band-Aid off and gets a second Tommy John. If he gets a second Tommy John, he can't hit. So there's a lot of decisions that need to be made here. But like, what does the contract look like now? Like you have a budget of, let's say, $600 million to spend for a major market team over the next, they say, we're giving you $600 million to spend over the next decade. Use it wisely. Are you using that on Shohei Ohtani now?
I'm probably going 5 years, $75 million. And I'm
DJ LeMahieu contract.
No, Andrew Benintendi contract. And I'm going to put him in right, move Benny to left, and Dayton Moore and Chris Getz have the best corner outfielders in all of baseball. I don't know. I have no idea what that looks like. I was looking at the contracts that were signed coming into this year, and I view the Yankees and the Mets in similar pools. Like they were swimming in very similar financial pools. And it's tough because, you want to point to Tyone and Taijuan Walker getting 4 for 71 or 4 for 68. I don't think that's the right one. Let's look at the really big deals here. And I'm not talking Judge. I'm not talking Bogarts. And Ohtani's going to make at least double this, even if he does have TJ. But Carlos Rodon signed 6 for 162. Brandon Nimmo signed 8 for 162. Same total money, higher AAV for Rodon because you got 2 more years of Nimmo. Who's more valuable? Like, who would you rather have on your team, Nimmo or Rodon? Try and scrap this year.
I like in terms of like moving
if you
forward,
were to pay one of them.
The problem is that Rodon's been hurt, but so is Nimmo, right? Nimmo's not the
I know.
Sterling on the field.
Do you want a largely unavailable hitter or a largely unavailable pitcher?
It's hard because Rodon has been so bad this year. So it's hard to put that out of my mind.
Yeah.
You would have to take Nimmo. You would just have to. And, Arm, to your point about, the top 100 list, I think that's why all of us collectively, when the draft came up, we were Dylan Cruz or Wyatt Langford over Paul Skeens. It has nothing to do with Paul Skeens. It is everything to do with those two being hitters and those two playing every day.
Yeah.
So I guess by that logic, if they are close, the answer has to be Nimmo.
I would take Nimmo. Yeah. I would take Nimmo.
Now to the Ohtani thing, I'm still giving him 400 plus.
You have to, because but I think it's important to look at Shohei Ohtani as one of the highest paid DHs and one of the highest paid pitchers.
He should be the highest paid DH.
Jordan too, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
But Ohtani's going to hit 50.
Exactly. So yes, sure, we'll say the highest paid DH. So I think a lot of people are confusing with, players who are paid $35 million, whether that be shortstops or center fielders or anything like that. No, he would probably get in the $20 to $25 million range as the highest paid DH because he doesn't play the field. Then you look at the starting pitching market, comparing him to Verlander and Scherzer is not how you should do it because they are on the older end and they're going to make 40 plus million. So you'd probably give him 30 to 35 as a pitcher and 20 to 25. So we'll round it off and say $55 million a year. And you're probably looking at 10 years. But Aram, if you're a general manager, do you care about Tommy John, right? Because a lot of pitchers at this point are getting it multiple times. Like, does that factor in, right? Because a team like Steve Cohen, at least, most likely is going to offer an enormous package. And do you match it? And This is going to be one of the most interesting off seasons in MLB history.
Yeah, which is funny because the free agent class kind of stinks. Outside of Ohtani.
It doesn't stink. It's just so like Julio Urias, what do you do? Cody Bellinger, what do you do? Aaron Nola, what do you do? It's like all these guys have been the stars in our game, but there's trepidation there because they all have their issues. It's not like it stinks. It's just maybe the most difficult decision.
To answer your
sick word pull, trepidation.
Yeah, it was the right word too. To answer your question, honestly, if I'm signing Shohei Ohtani, from a business standpoint, like you have to look at it through the lens of if I'm giving him 5 years, 6 years, whatever it is, I'm operating under the assumption that he is not pitching for at least 1.5 years. Because even if he doesn't get Tommy John, he is not going to be able to pitch all the time. That UCL is probably, if it's partially torn and he's able to, rehab through it and come back, I'm going to assume that it's not going to last 6 years.
The thing is also, if he's pitching through a partially torn UCL, he's
good?
Throwing 100, right? He's throwing 94. We saw that in that 4 innings or 4 out spurt, right?
Yeah.
That's why his arm was fatigued because they noticed, hey, you're throwing 93, 94. So if he is pitching through a partially torn UCL, he's not going to be the same type of pitcher. And then if he does end up getting Tommy John surgery, he will not be a pitcher at all, and you probably won't get him at the plate.
Yeah. So I'm operating under the assumption that I'm getting him as a pitcher, maybe 60% of the deal, and
If I'm a team, don't I prefer he get Tommy John surgery if I'm signing him?
I think so.
I think you bite the bullet.
I think you have to.
So, but now you're also paying for a full year of him not playing. So, like again, operating under the assumption that he's getting Tommy John and or missing a large portion of time, like. That's how you have to look at it. And then beyond that, it's like, okay, if he gets Tommy John, he's not hitting either. And, you can talk about the UCL tear and like, how it may not affect hitting as much. And he did go 1 for 5 after that, but it wasn't smooth sailing. Like Bryce Harper, it took a little bit of time. Then he went nuts, which is just absolutely unbelievable.
But
I think he's on a crazy tear right now.
Yeah, but it's right now. It's the middle of August, right?
No, and like the
Friday, August 25th show, and we're finally just talking about Bryce Harper, but that recovery.
Yeah, he played through it, was all right, and then he had to kind of get that recovery and figure it out. So, like, yeah, it's a really tough situation. I think some team's going to be like crazy and do it. But it's funny. We were talking about Jose Barrios and how durable he is. I'm looking at guys since 2019 who have thrown more than 700 innings. And I'm just going to go in order here.
That's an average of how many innings per season?
It's about 140, 150.
Since the start of 19?
Well, you have the 2020 wrench.
True.
So that's 60. So
we'll put in, you make about 10 starts.
That's about 160 innings in every full season.
Okay.
Guys are pretty much on average 130 starts, if that helps at all. But 15 players have been able to amass more than 700 innings in that span. And the list is interesting.
Can you run through it?
You got Garrett Cole, who's just, he throws hard, but that's modern day Nolan Ryan. Sandy Alcantara, I think you said we won't get a Nolan Ryan, Jack. I think we get a generational guy who just can throw 100 and not have negative effects. Like I think we'll get 1 or 2 of guys like that every generation. And I think Cole and Sandy are kind of those guys for us. Yeah. So you have Sandy and Cole so far, knock on wood.
And DL Hall.
And Luis Castillo sneakily in there as everyone keeps waiting for him to get hurt. He just doesn't.
So you know what it is though? He's got such a long radius. I feel like there's no stress on that elbow. And obviously there's a ton of stress on that elbow, but I feel like it's going to be a shoulder thing with him because of how long radius he is.
Yeah. And in some starts, Luis Castillo will just throw 43 fastballs in a row.
Yeah.
47, actually. 47. Get it right.
Zach Wheeler. Interesting one. He's turned in injuries up first and then somehow found a way to just be durable as all hell. But those are the 3 guys whose fastballs average above 95. That's it.
Did we just find the top 4 starters in Major League Baseball because we at least know that they're going to be on the mound all the time?
But But how crazy is that? You have 4 that average above 95. I'll fly through the rest of the names of guys
Kyle
that
Hendricks.
now.
I'll take one off the list. Jordan Lyles, definitely. I think he has as many complete games this year as Sandy.
He didn't crack it. He didn't crack it.
No way.
Corbin, Patrick Corbin.
He's in there. He's in there.
Yes.
Okay. So you got Corbin, you got Lance Lynn,
Yes.
Dogs.
Barrios, Giolito. He's trying out there. He's fighting.
Try.
Nola,
Jackie's trying.
Nola, Kyle Gibson.
Bang.
Shane Bieber's been hurt while doing it.
Yeah.
Merrill Kelly
Oh,
and Adam Wainwright.
these guys
all
are
of those
just
guys-
grit boys.
Yeah,
All of
great
those-
boys.
All of those guys throw either one suck or two throw well below 97 miles per hour. So just the point being, we have 4 pitchers who throw average over 95 miles per hour since 2019 that have been able to amass more than 700 innings. And it just kind of shows you, it's just like, and I know there needs to be more studies and science behind it and all that good stuff, but it's like, man, you have to know what you're signing up for. If a guy throws fuzz, like he's just not going to throw that many innings. If you expand it down to 600 innings, not much changes either. You only add Herman Marquez into the fold and
Who has
Corbin
Tommy
Burns.
John. And Herman Marquez, Tommy John
who's
right
currently hurt, and
Yeah.
Corbin Burns, who throws cutters, which is basically the same thing as a fastball, just like the grip takes care of it.
now. And
so,
he
like,
throws 160 innings a year.
yes, correct. He's also babied. Like, that's crazy, man. Like, I don't know what the solution is, though. Is the solution making the season shorter? Is the solution, you can't just tell guys to not throw harder. It's just not going to happen. Like, what is we're highlighting an issue. And one of my biggest pet peeves is highlighting issues without a solution. It's not our job to find the solution, though. It's kind of our job to just highlight the issue. That's the beautiful part about having a podcast, I guess. But like, what is the solution? What do we do? Is it surgically? Are we hoping that, we find a new Tommy John surgery and they name it after Drew Rasmussen when they try to figure out, oh, he's getting the Rasmussen, which means they 3D print a new elbow for you. Like, what is it going to be? Is it shortening the season? Is it 6-man rotations? I saw that pitched. Most of these teams can't even field a 5-man rotation. I do not want to see Jared Eichhoff like pitching
But
every
that's the
fifth
thing,
day.
Aram.
What do you
That's the
have
thing, Aram.
against Indianapolis Indians alum Jared Eichhoff?
They can field a 6-man rotation. So that was my idea that I was going to bring on. I think they should shorten the season down to 145-ish
It's too
games.
long anyways, by the way.
It's
But it
too
means
long
less
anyways.
salary for players. Means less salary
Exactly.
for players.
And then on top of it, you do go with a 6-man rotation. Like, it doesn't have to be where you expand rosters to 25, 26 players. Like, it can be a 30-man roster and you're able to put more pitchers on the roster and you go by a 6-man rotation. Yes, will the 6th starter in the rotation not do really well? Probably, but then we get to see some overs. Then we get to see some home runs. Like, who's pissed about that? Like, there's some times where I'm watching a game and it's 2 crap pitchers and it's in Great American Ballpark and I'm like, I'm turning it on. I'm about to see an 8-7 game. This is going to be fun. So I don't think that's a problem. So you expand the rosters, 6-man rotations, and you shorten the season. And you outlaw breaking balls. Make it 3 balls, 4
There's
strikes.
the speed limit.
Yeah.
Limit.
Put
So,
the
I
mound
was
back
gonna
to
say-
90 feet, not 60 feet, 6 inches. You can't throw over 90. And we're just going to get a bunch of 25, 24 games. It's going to be sick.
How we
And no
consider
more
it
injury.
underhand throwing.
Yeah, softball type pitch.
And
I
you
was
have to
gonna
call
say-
your pitches. Like in a bullpen,
You have
the
to tell your
fastball,
target.
changeup, you have to tell the hitter.
Perfect. Yeah. So 3 options here. Every pitcher needs to have a knuckleball in their arsenal.
Exactly. You never
you
see Tim Wakefield threw 9 million innings.
Exactly. And R.A. Dickey didn't have a UCL. I think his disappeared.
Didn't need one. Didn't
it
need
just
one.
disappeared. He was like, I'm going to throw a knuckleball, and it left his body. I think so. Everybody's got to have a knuckleball in their arsenal. Competitive balance violations is a speed limit. So you throw a ball over 98 miles an hour, you get 3 of those until the other team is gifted a base runner. And also there's a limit on the angle in which your arm slot is at. So
Agreed.
it needs to be above a certain like vertical attack.
Except Tyler Rogers. I need to see him keep doing what he's doing because he's
So
throwing the
how about this?
frisbee
3/4
UFO.
to sidearm, 3/4 to sidearm, banned. You have to be true overhand Trevor Rogers or submarine.
Gets ushered in. I like that. You have to be true over the top or just like underhanding these fucking UFO sliders.
You know what the interesting part to me though is I do think like if they can figure something out with the elbow, like yes, we have shoulder issues, but the shoulder issues are not nearly as recurrent or as rampant as the elbow. So like, I mean, James Andrews, I'm looking at you, dude. Or Ella Trotch, Dr.
Neil Elatrosh.
Neil, I'm looking at you, man. Come up with some shit.
There's another one. I think Keith Meister is one of them.
The state of baseball is just like, it's in your hands. It's in your hands.
What
or
about
in your elbow.
You know how they're talking about robo-umps? Have you seen these new pitching machines that can mimic these
Coach
different
pitch.
pitchers? Why don't we just have, why don't we do coach pitch for now on? No starting pitchers at all.
No
That's a
pitchers
great
outlaw.
idea.
Yeah, Walker
Great
would love
idea.
that, I'm sure.
Coach pitch first 5 innings, and then you
We'll
go
ask-
bullpen arms.
We'll ask Walker on Monday. Do you think we should just get away with the starting pitcher altogether and pitchers?
Yeah, I mean, AI is taking everybody's job, so it's have it just be a pitching machine. But no, I like to actually wrap this up, like where we go from here. I know that it's going to be a discussion about the pitch clock, and people are going to. This would be an issue no matter what. It's been an issue. It's does the pitch clock help? I don't know, but I thought I'll defer to Walker and his thoughts on that, which he said, look, if you get in shape and and you're in good shape, it's no different. It's the same thing. There's guys that work quickly who are not more susceptible to injuries than the guys that work slowly. So I'm willing to kind of nip that one in the bud. And I think there should be an added, emphasis on getting in shape, maybe for guys that maybe weren't in shape and that contributed to the injury. But I really think it's just that the body can't handle it. But again, is there just kind of nothing we do? Like, you just don't do anything and just kind of hope that training takes care of it and guys find ways to prevent it and we learn new things and we find new ways to manage, because I feel like there's been more research, more precautions and more things done than ever before, but it's all kind of futile. Like, do we just kind of say, hey, it's a short shelf life like running backs and just let it roll?
God, that would suck so bad.
I mean, but what's the alternative?
You said we didn't have to come with solutions.
That's true.
Yeah.
You did say that.
No.
Well, you think the Shohei Ohtani injury, being 61 and 67, being 3 in your last 10, would be rock bottom for the Los Angeles Angels. But a very common injury, Mike Trout, is going back to the IL after appearing in one game. And it might be his hamate bone again. Thankfully, it's not his back. That was the big thing over the offseason, right? Where a doctor came out and they thought, well, there's a possibility that Trout will never play again. And Trout, being the linebacker that he is, told that report to fuck off, and he was fine. And so the back at least has not been the big issue here. But it's been these wrist and these hamate bone injuries, which are serious because they dampen the power. Now, a take that I had over the offseason, Yordan Alvarez under 37.5 home runs because he was dealing with a hamate bone injury going into the season. Now, other injuries have resurfaced to alleviate that bet, but at the same time, power gets dampened when this happens, and your grip strength is such a problem. And he just couldn't come back from it. So the Angels trade for Lucas Giolito, who has been terrible. Shohei Ohtani now goes down with a torn UCL. Mike Trout is back on the IL. Where is Anthony Rendon?
Yeah,
is this not rock bottom?
No, this is rock bottom. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
I say
Edgar
quit.
Carroll homered last night too, which is just the craziest part.
The thing is, I feel like I'm able to talk about rock bottom because are there Angels fans left? Imagine being a real fan of this team.
I feel so bad.
The worst. Like, I'm
feel
bitching
so
about
bad.
my first losing season in like the 21st century with the Yankees. This is a continuous cycle of shit.
And especially like when they're even trying, and like now you have Ohtani playing.
They went for it.
Yeah, they went for it. But Edgar Carroll, by the way, in 70 games with the Angels, 3 home runs. In 18 games with the with the White Sox, 3 home runs. And he's hitting 350. But not to pile on, I'm really sorry. But the thing with this is I think they rushed him back, Trout. And, a hamate bone, just from what I've gathered and knowing some guys that have gone through it, like it's a time thing. Like, it just takes time. They remove it from your hand. You got to get the strength back because you don't really use it at all. And then it just feels weird. You got to swing a bat. It kind of hurts. There's a bunch of scar tissue built up. Like, it takes time. The Angels were in fight or flight mode. They brought Trout back too early. He took some hacks, and he obviously didn't feel good. And at this point, with Ohtani hurt, and I think they're looking at it and they say, look, we have less than a 1% chance of coming back, like of doing anything. Why risk Mike Trout's career at this point? Because, you got Mike Trout locked up for a long time. Yeah. So, I think they tried to rush him back, and I think they realized it's not worth it. I think he'll be fine long term. It's probably better for his back. His hand will be all good, but just shut it down. And it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Just let's pack it in for the Angels this year.
This is a step worse than Murphy's Law. Like, this is, when you have those week or two stretches in your like just personal life where you feel like everything is going wrong, and then one more thing goes wrong, and instead of feeling sad and angry about it, you just start laughing because it's like, this is hilarious how shitty it's gotten.
Yeah,
we're at that point where it's the step past everything going wrong for the LA Angels. Just pack it in. I never preach quitting, but just quit. Like, it's insane.
Doesn't it suck that it feels like at least once a week on this show, and sometimes twice a week, we spend the first 30 minutes talking about guys getting injured?
Well, it's been about 50 minutes so far today.
So that's a good transition into us predicting the stat leaders in Major League Baseball. But before we get to that, Jack, tell us about our friends at Alt.
Okay, I will. As soon as I find the ad, there it is. Baseball card market heating up as we near the end of the regular season. Only place to search for cards is alt.xyz, alt.xyz. Alt is the only platform that allows you to search all the major marketplaces and eBay at once. Just download the free Alt app. Type a player or a specific card into the search bar. Alt going to return every graded card available for sale. Even better, you save your search, get notified every time that card becomes available. You will never use another app for researching and buying baseball cards ever again. We are one-stop shopping for baseball coverage. Alt.xyz is one-stop shopping in the card market.
And Alt is an actual great company, which you can find in our episode description, not Jack's boy trying to get me not to be squishy.
Dude, he wrote me a great program. By the way, something just came down the line. Arm, I'm sure you saw the same thing. Yep.
Yeah, Strasburg just retired. Which, I mean, it
had to.
I got to see Strasburg's last start, which depressed me, but that is kind of something to hold on to.
Wait, why are we so sad today?
Because everyone's going down. This sport sucks.
This sport does suck. This sport sucks ass.
Yeah. I mean, dude, he couldn't throw. Like, he had nerve damage at this point. Like, it was at the point with Steven Strasburg where it's like, do you want to be able to play like catch with your kid?
It's Prince Fielder level.
Yeah, it was like, and I wish him the best. I hope he has peace. And he won the World Series. And we kind of eulogized his career already last time. When he got shut down again. But again, talk about a guy like emptied the fucking tank in that World Series run. Yeah. And then it was just never the same. He got his bag too, though. So and he saved the Nationals some money, I think, but I don't know how that works. I'm sure they'll settle on some lesser amount of his contract.
Deferred. Yeah.
No, they'll probably settle on something. And watch out for the Nats. We're talking about they're gonna spend money. They got some money now. If it fucking sucks. But it's we kind of knew it was coming, right? Like it's almost I don't want to compare it to this, but like he was in pain almost every time we saw him out on the mound. I'm like kind of glad he can move on with his life now, because it was just really tough to watch him try to come back and get set back and then come back and then get set back and then throw 86 and then get set back, and it's like that's it.
Yep.
One of the great debuts in MLB history.
Yeah.
Where he came in and he looked like the best pitcher in baseball in game one. What are you, 14 Ks? What a run from Steven Strasburg. Hopefully you enjoy retirement. One of my favorite pitchers to watch, maybe ever. I was such a big fan of his. That just sucks. But damn it. Let's predict stat leaders. Shit.
Yes.
Let's get out of this funk.
Yes.
All right. And we're going to go with the classics. We're not just going to predict WRC plus.
Pitcher wins.
Let's
I'm so in.
Yeah,
Who's going to lead in runs this year?
Let's do the best stat in sports history. Batting average.
I'm in.
How many hits are you getting? All right. In the National League, we thought it might be a runaway. Luis Arias is hitting 355. Ronald Acuna Jr. is hitting 335. And Freddie Freeman's hitting 332. Also, shout out Cody Bellinger hitting 320.
What the fuck?
Jack, I'll throw it over to you because I already know Arm's answer. Is anyone overtaking Luis Arias for the batting title?
If you're 20 points clear on August 24th, you're not losing the batting title. Punch me in the face if somebody else wins the batting title.
I'm about to punch you in the face soon for that Stetson Bennett bet. You guys are idiots. Arm, we got to get you a tattoo. Just making bets that have no upside for you. Punch me in the face if Stetson Bennett throws a touchdown. Get me a tattoo.
In the regular season. In the regular season.
He might. You see him in the preseason? He's like the backup to Stafford now.
Dude, I will eat that punch so hard.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I said punch me in the face if Tristan Casas wasn't a good big leaguer, and that started a little slow, but he looks great. To answer the question though, Luis Arias is playing his worst baseball of the year by like a fair margin right now, and he's still leading by a fair margin right now. So in the last 20 games, he's hitting 225. I just don't see him being that bad the rest of the way. I think he'd have to literally fall off a cliff, and yeah, I just don't see how he could lose it.
Yeah, Arm, we were talking about like a bad Luis Arias month is hitting 280.
Yeah.
Luis Arias is my pick as well.
Shout out Ronald Acuna though, hitting 335. Like that's insane.
And Freddie and Belly in the American League. Yandy Diaz is hitting 329. Bo Bichette is hitting 318 for the Blue Jays. And Shohei Ohtani is hitting 304. I think Yandy just continues to run away with this. Bo Bichette's been phenomenal this season. But when I turn on a Rays game and I'm 5 minutes late, Yandy's on first with a single.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's so good, man. His plate discipline is so fantastic, and he can hit the ball to all fields. He's such a disciplined hitter. I think Yandy's going to run away with his batting title. Not run away, but win it. He's up by 11 points right now. I think he keeps at least a 10-point lead when the season's over.
That's the thing. You said discipline, like, Bichette's aggressive and works because he hits the ball all the time, but like I'll side with the guy that walks and hits than the guy that swings a ton and finds the holes and hits the ball hard. Like, yeah, I know we're picking the two front runners, but yeah, it's Yandy.
Yeah, sleeper is Yoshida, but I think Yandy's got a little bit more on his shoulders now with that decimated team in a wild card chase, and they still hold on to that first spot. So give me Yandy, but if Yoshida gets hot, I feel like that's the guy that can, quickly get back to him.
That's true. When Yoshida does get hot, he hits everything. The problem is when he's not, he sucks. He's so streaky. It's crazy. Like when he's on, he looks like the greatest hitter on planet Earth. Pitcher wins. Win the damn ball game.
No. Next stat.
No. Zach Allen, Justin Steele both have 14 wins, and so does Spencer Strider. And Charlie Morton has 13 wins. Taijuan Walker has 13 wins. Zach Eflin, 13 wins. Scherzer, 12. Kyle Gibson, and everyone has like 13.
What a shitty stat.
What are you talking about? Win the game.
This sucks.
It's just so funny when you're going through it right now. It's just like this stat blows.
All right.
I'm going Strider. Best offense behind him. I think he gets hot down the stretch. Starts shoving. Strider takes the wins title.
Jack.
Yeah, Strider and Eflin. Those are the two. I would say Gallen, but that offense is way more suspect.
Yeah.
Steele, kind of same thing. That offense can go away at points. Braves offense never goes away. And Strider's going to give you 5. He's not going to give you 7 consistently, but he'll give you 5 consistently.
The thing is, I'm going to go Justin Steele because when I look at all their pictures, Steele feels like a winner.
Yeah, he feels the meanest, even though we know he's a good guy.
And wins is a feel stat, so I'm going with feel, and I'm going with Justin Steele.
American League, I'm going to go with Dean Kramer.
Perfect.
Got 12
Yep.
wins, but I like the Orioles offense when he's on the bump. So Dean Kramer takes the win title and
Perfect.
just fully making the stat trash.
Pointless. Yeah.
I'm going with Kyle Gibson. In the home run race,
Yay.
Shohei Ohtani leads the American League with 44 home runs. Matt Olson first in the National League with 43. Mookie fucking Betts, dude, has 34 jacks, but Pete Alonso is 5 ahead of him with 39. You got Schwarber at 34. A lot of National League guys. But in the American League, it's Ohtani, then it's Luis Robert down there with 33, and Adolis Garcia with 31. So basically, Ohtani has wrapped up the home run title in the American League. Do you guys think Pete Alonso catches Matt Olson? Arm, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I do. I think he's playing loose baseball the rest of the way. They got nothing to play for. They're going to get into some contract negotiations in this offseason. It's either trade or contract negotiations, but
he ain't going to be a Met.
We talked about that last episode.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think they pay him regardless. Like he's playing for either an opportunity to get traded or an opportunity to make more money, but also there's just a level of playing loose, and he's just been going nuts lately. I think Alonso catches Olson. I really do. Also, Olson walks more, and I think kind of gets less at bats. More, I don't know if he gets as many opportunities to launch him. Give me Alonso. I think he takes the title.
I think Alonso's hilarious. I just go with Pete Alonso. He plays a funnier game than Olson does, and I think the Mets like kind of drifting into obscurity with DJ Stewart going nuts. Like Alonso is just going to put together multi-homer games, and it's going to be awesome. And
they're down 6-0. Like he's going to get a pitch right down the middle, and he homers. It's 6-1. Okay,
and like Olson already had his hot stretch. Like we haven't talked about Alonso yet, so like Alonso is just going to sneaky get to 50, and it's going to be Ohtani and Alonso, and it's going to be hilarious.
I still think it's going to be Matty-O.
That's fine.
That's a very acceptable answer.
I know. I just still think he's
crazy.
He's crazy.
So you know what's crazy is Aaron Judge. Like if you gave him like 30 more games, like could probably have sniffed this damn thing. 3 homers yesterday. He's pretty good.
He'd probably lead the league in home runs right now if he was healthy all year long.
Yeah, for sure. I think.
Yeah. Moving forward, we have earned run average, otherwise known as ERA. Ever heard of it?
No.
Blake Snell leads the National League at a 2.73 with Justin Steele right on his tail at a 2.80. In the American League, Garrett Cole is tied with Kyle Bradish. Shout out Kyle Bradish, Orioles ace. Oh, the Orioles don't have pitchers?
No.
Casuals, yes, they do. It's Kyle Bradish on the bump. He's been awesome, and he might just win the ERA title. But let's start in the National League. I think it's going to be between Steele and, of course, Blake Snell. But then you have Gallen at 3.11. But these guys in the mid to high twos are just, they don't allow runs. So Jack, Steele or Snell?
Can I tell you, my serotonin levels are exponentially higher when I watch Justin Steele pitch as opposed to Blake Snell. I have not a good time watching Blake Snell pitch. That's why I go with Steele. Like, I'm going to have a better time watching Steele.
Yeah, you're not a Snell guy.
No, it feels like he's tight-roping every 5th day.
He also called my guy Xavier Edwards a slapdick prospect on a stream.
No, Snell did?
Oh, that was a while ago. Yeah, when they made that trade, they traded
one of the.
Yeah, he was gaming, and he's like, when the trade went down, he saw it and he was pissed because one of their guys, I forget who they traded, and he's like, oh, we get a slapdick prospect too, and like so. Xavier Edwards is like the most like roll off the shoulder chill dude ever. But anyways, that clip's been like resurfaced a bunch of times. I'm sure Peter's seen it on like TikTok a couple of times, but pretty funny. That said, Steele's just been a model of consistency. I'm taking him because I know it. You book it right now, bookmark it. Snell's gonna be solid the rest of the way, and he's gonna have one fucking blow up, give up 8 earned, and it's gonna inflate the ERA to like 3 something, and Steele is gonna take it. American League side, assuming that Eovaldi technically doesn't qualify.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Dude, I love that our guy Tanner Bybee's in there.
Yeah.
Does that assume that JP France doesn't qualify?
I guess not, because I'm looking. I mean, I don't know how many innings.
It's Garrett fucking Cole. It's Garrett fucking Cole.
I'm going
Dane
Bradish.
Dunning.
If I'm Garrett Cole, I'm so upset. Like he might have to bring that emotion over. and it might get to him. Bradish is that dude. Every single game is 6 innings, 1 to 2 run.
He's got
I
the
think Bradish
ballpark
wins
too.
it. Yep.
He's got the ballpark too. I like the Bradish pick too, but I think Cole just goes out there, doesn't give a shit, and shoves every 5th day the rest of the way like he's been.
Yeah, they're going to lose a bunch of games, 1-0. I feel like when Cole starts. Dunning is going to end the year on a 40-inning scoreless streak, and Dane Dunning will be your ERA king.
Just like we all predicted. I was going to talk about Steele versus Snell. That was the exact point I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
Snell is due for just a 3-inning, 8-earned game that'll give Steele, because Steele's then for the rest of the year going to be 5 innings, 2 runs, or 6 innings, 2 runs, or 7 innings, 2 runs every game. And then Snell is going to throw a 9-inning shutout and then give up 8 earned. And Steele will win it. RBIs is kind of interesting. I mean, Olsen has 13 more than second place Pete Alonso, with Olsen at 108. Runs batted in the American League, though, is interesting because you got Tucker at 95, you got Adolis at 93, and you got Ohtani at 91. Kyle Tucker at 95 RBIs. That's a stat. I haven't looked at the RBI leaderboards in a while. Kyle Tucker has 95 RBIs since when?
Since opening day.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy that he's driven in that many runs, dude. We were talking about Tucker the other day because I was like, he's become one of my favorite players in the game, and I think he's so underrated. And we were talking about him as start your franchise with. RBI, obviously, there's a level of what you can control, a level of what you can't control. I don't think Ohtani's going to be able to do it because the lineup's just not nearly as good, and now Trout's out of it.
And he has a torn UCL.
And he does have that torn UCL thing. I think it's Adolis or Tucker, and I'm going to side with the guy that just makes more contact. I think Kyle Tucker finishes with 115, 120, maybe even RBI.
It also doesn't help that Adolis Garcia strikes out at least twice a game now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Every Rangers game I watch, he strikes out twice. Yeah, it's unbelievable, actually.
Give me Tuck.
Yeah, give me Tuck. Jack, same side?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I could see Adolis Garcia just ripping it, and he's gonna have so many guys in scoring position for him, but so is Kyle Tucker too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, give me Kyle Tucker, I think.
Saves.
Also, really funny thing, real quick. I was listening to a podcast with John Shambi talking, and Boog Shambi was he shared a story about texting Carter Hawkins, the GM of the Cubs, asking him who leads the Cubs in RBIs. And he guessed 3 guys before he actually got to the right one. And he said, I asked our entire suite of front office execs, and the only one that knew the answer was Jed Hoyer, who's the president of baseball operations. The entire Cubs front office had no idea who was leading the Chicago Cubs in RBIs.
I kind of want to guess. Dansby.
No.
Fuck.
I think it's Nico Horner.
Oh my God.
How?
I'll tell you right
Hap
now.
is my guess.
I'll tell you right now. Hitting, all players, RBIs. Cody Bellinger at 67.
Okay, well, that was the obvious one.
That was the obvious answer. I thought because nobody guessed it.
These guys need to be fired.
No, but this was a couple weeks ago when Nico Horner was leading them in RBIs.
Oh, okay. So the answer was Horner. Okay.
Yeah, the answer was Horner at the time, but now it's Bellinger, Swanson, Horner.
That is crazy. I mean, Horner would stump just about anybody, but
yeah,
but not people who work for the Cubs. Yeah,
especially how much they care about RBI, man.
Yeah,
saves. The classic. Get those last 3 outs. Alexis Diaz leads the National League with 34, but he's got Camilo Doval of the Giants right on his tail, the Velociraptor. And then he's got Emmanuel Clase in the American League at 33 saves with Felix Bautista and Jordan Romano just to save away. Do the current save leaders lead their leagues? Alexis Diaz of the Reds and Emmanuel Clase of the Guardians. Jack, you're shaking your head.
No to both. Doval leads the National League in saves because the Giants are going to win more games than the Cincinnati Reds for the remaining month and a half this season. And Felix Bautista because the Orioles are going to win way more games than the Cleveland Guardians.
It was always Camilo Doval.
It was. I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna be edgy. Devin Williams. I think the Brewers play good ball down the stretch. Devin Williams shuts the door. All their games are going to be close. I do think Doval is definitely the pick. but I like Devin, and then Bautista, no doubt. Class A's not even. Class A might not get another save opportunity all year. I don't even know.
I have one for the American League. I think the Blue Jays will go on a little bit of a run here.
Ooh,
and Jordan Romano sustained a little bit of an injury, and he looks really, really healthy right now. He's throwing gas. I think he's going to lock it down because he's still only 2 saves away from Class A. I like Bautista, but Orioles fans, are you seeing what I'm seeing? He's been a little shaky.
He's been a little human lately.
Been a little human, but I'm going to go with Romano there. We have 2 more categories. We have strikeouts, then we have stolen bases. Strikeouts, National League, Strider is 227, and Blake Snell's 184, so he wins.
Right.
American League, Gausman is your leader at 195 with Pablo Lopez at 187.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought Pablo Lopez would strike out 200? Like, barring anything crazy.
Look at that trade. Luis Arraez is going to win the batting title, and Pablo Lopez might finish first in strikeouts in the American League.
Unreal.
We need more of those trades.
Yeah,
those
I
are
know
electric.
more. Stop being cowards. Big leaguer for big leaguer deals. Come on. American League.
Gausman's too damn good.
Yeah, Gausman's too good with a full, like, great start ahead of him. 8 Ks is a great start. So, yeah, it's Gausman.
Kind of surprised that Garrett Cole is not
right?
top 2.
Well, I think there's been a level. I was looking at Cole and the way he's been able to limit the long ball this year a little way more than last year. And I wonder if it's just because he's not trying to buzz the fastball at the top, giving up a little bit of swing and miss for, less home runs. It's worked out well for him. Yeah. So
it's a good point.
Check. Who?
In the American League?
Yeah.
Gausman.
Yeah.
Gausman strikes out 10 like every day.
Yeah.
Stolen bases is kind of already decided, so we can end the podcast. Ronald Acuna Jr. has 58 stolen bases, and next up is Corbin Carroll at 38. Esteury Ruiz of the Oakland A's is at 49. Next up is Bobby Witt Jr. at 37. How sick is this? Bobby Witt Jr. and Julio Rodriguez are top 5. I mean, the rookies, and then Corbin Carroll and Esteury Ruiz and Ronald Acuna Jr., the entire top 5 of stolen bases, all of them are 25 or younger.
Also,
stolen bases are back.
Yeah, I was going to say we haven't really talked about that since the first week of the season with the pitch clock and the pickoff rule. Like, the stolen base is fully back in baseball, and you guys should really enjoy that. It's so much fun.
I love it. I love it. Willie Castro has 30.
Yeah.
What?
I think you just made that up.
He's 29. Ha-Seong Kim has 28. Like, Bobby Witt Jr. is going to potentially go 30-30 this year, 30-40 this year. Like, that's unreal. It's just, fans love numbers. We were losing one of the fun numbers. Now it's back. I love it. It's awesome. No one's sniffing Ronald Acuna Jr. He might steal 70, which is also fucking insane.
And I'm not saying might. He's going to get it because know Acuna. He wants 70. So he'll get caught stealing like 6 or 7 times because the Braves have the division locked up anyway. He's going to be stealing almost every single time he gets on first, and he is hitting 335, so he's going to be on first base plenty. That'll do it for this episode of the Just Baseball Show. Hopefully everybody has a good weekend. Not too late. Go get your Just Baseball merch. It's in the episode description. I'm rocking a polo. Arm's rocking a polo. I'm rocking a hat. Jack hates the company. Don't be like Jack. He is at the ballpark, so we'll give him a pass. You can find that in the episode description. Also, support our sponsors, whether that be Alt, Card Collectors. Go collect that. All my gamblers out there, go check that out. BetMGM, King of Sportsbooks, code Just Baseball for all of those bonus bets. But if you don't want to spend a dime, we totally understand. If you could rate and review this podcast 5 stars, whether that be on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, and if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the comment button, and hit that subscribe button. That's Jack. That's Aram. I'm Peter. We'll be back on Monday with Walker Bueller. And with that, thank you, everybody.